I know for a lot of parents, getting ready to shop for their kids, it can be a little difficult, especially if you don't know what you're looking for. Well, video games always bring a lot of joy, and in many cases for the entire family. So today I'm going to try to make it easier for you by compiling a list of the best games to buy kids right now. So whether you're a parent or not, we're going to take a look at the top 15 best Nintendo Switch games that kids will enjoy right now. As always though, I like to preface these videos with this is only my opinion, and if I don't mention something that you think deserves to be on this list, make sure to let me know in the comments below. With that said, let's get right into it. At number 15, I have New Super Lucky's Tale, which is an adorable 3D platformer that really plays a lot like old Nintendo 64 games. It really reminds me a lot of Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64, but even today, Super Lucky's Tale turned out to be a fantastic game with a lot of personality. Of course, it's absolutely adorable looking, but I could really see some kids enjoying the story elements as well, and because it's not overly difficult, kids in most age groups can enjoy this wonderful little platformer. Now, Snipperclips is an interesting one because kids can actually learn a little bit while playing this game. There are several logic-based puzzles to solve, which are both fun and clever, but it's also something the entire family can enjoy together. This is a cooperative game, and that's when it's at its most fun. When I was growing up, some of my most fond memories are playing with my family, and I do highly encourage you to do the same thing. Luckily, Snipperclips can be fun for all ages as puzzles are various, filled with different goals, and you're going to find yourself laughing constantly while trying to solve these puzzles together. Now, there are some competitive mini-games too, such as basketball, and that's always a lot of fun as well. Super Mario Party is a bit different than some of the other games on this list. It really plays out like a virtual board game where you roll dice and have all sorts of different spots you can land on, some good and some bad. Really, the main goal is to finish the game with the most stars, and in order to gain stars, you have to compete in all sorts of mini-games, win money, and purchase stars. Now, there is some random luck when it comes to this game, so it's not always about skill, and that can be a little frustrating at times, but it's still a fun game nonetheless. Like I said though, this one is just a bit different than some of the other games on this list because you actually use a single Joy-Con controller to play the game. That's because a lot of the mini-games are controlled through several different motions with each individual controller, so a lot of the fun is really going to depend on if you like motion controls or not. Now, there's a good chance that you may have heard about Animal Crossing New Horizons, as it has absolutely exploded in popularity, but this is for good reason. It's a fantastic game where you really create your own paradise. You move to a new island, build a community, and talk to all kinds of charming and adorable characters. There will be several activities to do, whether that be fishing, hunting bugs, or helping out your various neighbors. And that right there is why a lot of kids will like this game. Kids love the adorable art style in Animal Crossing, but I do think it's important to keep in mind that there is a lot of dialogue in this game. If your kid isn't big into reading, Animal Crossing might not hold their attention, but if they're good with that, you're not going to find much better than Animal Crossing New Horizons. SpongeBob has created a bit of a legacy, becoming one of the best cartoon shows of all time, and even today, kids still really like that show. Well, surprisingly, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom is a great game where you can play as SpongeBob, Patrick, or Sandy the Squirrel. Each has their own abilities, and the story is pretty faithful to the SpongeBob show. You'll run into all kinds of recognizable characters from the show, many of which have their actual voice actors, and yes, it is very humorous. I wasn't expecting this game to be nearly as good as what it is, but it's one of the better 3D platformers that I've ever played. If you've ever watched the show, it's really cool seeing all of the different locations from the show come to life, and the mechanics do feel great in this game. If your kid does like SpongeBob, this game is an absolute no-brainer, and even if your kid doesn't like SpongeBob, this might get them interested. It really is that good. The shooting genre is not typically known to be family-friendly, but Splatoon 2 is its own breed. Splatoon 2's innovative and creative outlook on the shooting genre is genius, as instead of using bullets in war, you use paint to splatter across your enemies. The creativity doesn't stop there though, because you place these little squid people, and if you shoot the ground, you can actually swim under the paint for added mobility, or even to surprise your enemies as you lurk below, hunting for your prey. Now the main goal is not necessarily to shoot your enemies, but rather your main focus is to paint as much of the level as you can before the time ends. Of course, if you shoot your enemies with the various paint-based weapons that you have, they will have to respawn, giving you more time to paint the level. So there's always that strategy to keep in mind, and that is important to know. The main focus of Splatoon 2 is its competitive multiplayer, but there is a single-player game mode as well, and it's also a lot of fun. The mix of shooting and platforming is great, whether that be in single-player or multiplayer. So Spyro Reignited is not just one game, but technically, this is 3 games bundled into one package. It is the original Spyro trilogy that released back in the 90s and completely remade with modern graphics. And I have to say, this was one of my favorite games growing up. The design is fantastic, being a spunky little purple dragon, and across all 3 games, you have several different abilities to play around with. Spyro can glide, breathe fire, and charge different enemies as he tries to hunt down gems, save the other dragons, or any other various activity that he does. There are a number of memorable characters that you'll meet, the level design is phenomenal, and I cannot recommend this one enough. I know it had a big impact on my childhood, and I'm really glad to see it come back for modern times. Rocket League is yet another multiplayer-focused game, and this one is one of those rare games that I think almost anybody can enjoy. On the surface, it sounds kind of odd. You take these little toy cars, drive them around, and try to push a ball into a goal, similar to soccer or football depending on where you're located in the world. But when you start to play this game, there is so much depth to it. I mean, sure, anybody can jump in and play at any skill level, but there is a lot of skill if you practice enough. If anything, I would probably say this is the best sports game available right now, and luckily, this does have local co-op as well, so multiple people can play at once even while online. The scaredy cat brother Luigi is back yet again in his own adventure, and this time in a haunted hotel. As the Mario Brothers visits this hotel, spooky things start to happen, and Luigi has set forth into saving all of his friends in this spectacular world. It's very similar to the Ghostbusters franchise, where you hunt down ghosts and suck them up into a vacuum. It's not overly difficult or too spooky, and it has a good world to explore. There will be several puzzles to solve, and it's always fun to see new ghosts, and the boss encounters are just absolutely excellent. Now, one thing that's interesting is that you can play as Luigi and Gooigi, which are both important to solve various puzzles. But that's the thing. You can actually play co-op together, with one player as Luigi and the other as Gooigi. So this is yet another great game that you can play together. Now, if you're looking for a game for younger kids, then the one that always comes to my mind is Yoshi's Crafted World. Not only is this game insanely adorable, but it's also one of the easier games to play on this list. So for younger kids, they won't be too discouraged if they fail, because it's a very forgiving game, and the objective is easy to understand. Then there's the level design with that classic Nintendo flavor, meaning it's brilliantly done. The cardboard-based world looks fantastic, and you can even eat your enemies and turn them into eggs. Like I said, this is a good game for younger kids. Overcooked II is a major winner in my household, as everybody loves playing this game. It puts you in some of the most insane and creative kitchens that you're ever going to see, and expects you to cook and prepare food for your customers. Yeah, that's just a little bit easier said than done, as these kitchens will offer several obstacles to make it a difficult task. That's important to keep in mind though. Overcooked II really is meant to be played with multiple people, and you will have to work as a team. There really is no other way around it, especially if you want to get the best possible rating on each level. So you might want to make sure everybody can be a team player, but I can honestly say I don't think there's a game on this list that my family has had more fun with than Overcooked II. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is one of the best fighting games ever made, hands down. It's a bit different than other fighting games, and the main goal is to knock your opponent off the level, but it's an absolute blast to play with its unique mechanics. Also, depending on how you play, it can be very chaotic, with plenty of weapons dropping onto the map that you may recognize from other games. That's the genius part about Smash Bros. Though, because its massive roster includes over 70 characters from different game franchises. This ranges from Pac-Man, Mario, Sonic, Banjo, Street Fighter, Pokemon, and the list goes on and on. It's truly insane, and your kids are going to love seeing their favorite characters fight one another. I started playing Pokemon when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and from that point forward, I was hooked. I had to have Pokemon clothes, toys, cards, shows, movies, and so on and so forth. Pokemon was basically my childhood, and even today it's still going strong and capturing the imagination of kids worldwide. Well, Pokemon Sword and Shield is the latest entry where you can explore its vast and creative world. Not only will you be able to raise Pokemon, evolve them, and battle them, but you'll also be able to feed them, and they have a new wild area where you can see Pokemon in their own natural habitat. This is really cool to see, but alternatively you can also check out Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. This is the original Red and Blue games remade, but you can't battle wild Pokemon. Instead, you can ride bigger Pokemon, which is still pretty cool. I will, however, say this, Sword and Shield has more depth, but if you do want something a little bit easier, then Let's Go would be a good option as well. It's no secret that Minecraft is one of the most popular games ever made, and kids in specific absolutely love this game. It's basically virtual Legos on steroids. Your creativity can really blossom with this game, as you can build whatever you can imagine, whether that be houses, cities, roller coasters, farms, or whatever you can imagine. You can create a ton of different things in Minecraft, but there are also several game modes to play around with, including survival mode, which allows you to try to survive against various different enemies. Now that's not all though, because Minecraft Dungeons also shares a spot with Minecraft. So Minecraft Dungeons is an action RPG set in the Minecraft world where you fight off hordes and hordes of enemies. This one is best played cooperatively, but if you like Minecraft and RPGs, this oddly is the perfect combination, and I can't recommend this one enough. And the number one spot goes to none other than Mario, but I didn't just go with one game here. Mario is probably the most recognizable gaming mascot of all time, and that's for a good reason. Nintendo does experiment with the Mario franchise, and he plays in several different games, and here are the best ones that you can pick up for the Switch right now. You have Mario Odyssey, which is a fantastic 3D platformer. Then you have New Super Mario Bros. And Mario Maker 2. Both of these are 2D platformers, though if your kid is a little bit more creative, Mario Maker 2 would be the way to go, as you can make your own levels. Yeah, that's pretty cool, but the big one here is Mario Kart 8. If I'm going to recommend one specific game, it's Mario Kart 8. There are a few games that it seems like almost everybody enjoys regardless if they like gaming or not, and Mario Kart 8 is one of those rare games. Pretty much anybody can jump in and enjoy this game because it has simple mechanics that's easy to understand, though there is some depth to it. It's chaotic fun, and it's just a blast to play by yourself or with a friend. It truly is an amazing game, and that right there is the one that I would recommend the most. Anyways though, that's it for the video, but hopefully it helps you out. And if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.